As news of the outbreak reached the mainland, several nations took the preemptive step of closing their ports to the vessel. The ship remained isolated in the South Atlantic, unable to find a country willing to risk the infection reaching their shores. When the World Health Organization finally conducted testing on the passengers, they identified the culprit, Hantavirus. The diagnosis presented a major problem for medical officials. There is no vaccine to prevent hantavirus, and no proven antiviral treatment exists to stop it. Doctors can only provide supportive care while the patient's own immune system fights the infection. The stakes are high because hantavirus is exceptionally lethal. In documented outbreaks, it has killed up to 50% of the people it infects, a mortality rate that claims 1 out of every 2 patients. With such a high death rate and an active cluster of cases on a ship, health authorities worldwide had to determine if this was the beginning of a wider international disaster. While the cruise ship brought the virus back into the headlines, Hantavirus has been a known medical threat for 7 decades. During the Korean War in the early 1950s, more than 3,000 soldiers suddenly developed severe fevers and total kidney failure. Roughly 15% of those infected died. The sudden appearance was so baffling that military doctors initially investigated the possibility of a chemical weapons attack. The source remained elusive until the 1980s, when a South Korean virologist isolated the virus in local field mice living near the Hantan River. Identifying the rodent host redefined hantavirus as an ecological hazard. Outbreaks were tied to specific environments rather than a traditional human plague. We now know that hantavirus is a family of viruses carried by different rodents. In Asia and Europe, it typically causes kidney failure. In the Americas, it takes a different form, Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS. This X-ray shows the progression of HPS. The virus triggers intense inflammation in the chest, causing the lungs to fill with fluid until the patient can no longer breathe. A 1993 outbreak in the Navajo Nation highlighted the environmental nature of the disease, a connection Navajo elders had already documented through their oral history. This thermal map shows the 1991 El Niño event. The elders noted that these weather patterns bring heavy rains, leading to a surplus of pine nuts. This extra food triggers a population boom in local mice. A surge in rodents directly increases the risk of human exposure. This confirmed that most hantavirus outbreaks are ecological domino effects, occurring only when specific environmental conditions allow rodent populations to explode. But if the virus requires direct contact with rodents, health officials had to explain how it was spreading between people on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. The answer was a rare variant first discovered in 1996 in southern Argentina, known as the Andes strain. The Andes strain is the only known member of the hantavirus family capable of human-to-human transmission. Investigators found that the first cruise ship victims had visited a rat-infested landfill on a birdwatching tour just before boarding. They contracted the Andes strain from the landfill and brought it into the confined environment of the ship. The disaster was a result of the rarest viral strain meeting incredibly unlucky timing. It was a localized crisis rather than the beginning of a global trend. Despite the high mortality rate, hantavirus lacks the biological features necessary to sustain a global lockdown or a widespread pandemic. The primary limitation is its mode of travel. Unlike COVID-19 or the flu, hantavirus is not an airborne pathogen. Spreading the virus requires prolonged, intimate physical contact or direct exposure to an infected person's fluids. This usually limits transmission to family members or those providing direct medical care to the sick. Furthermore, the virus has a very short transmission window. Patients are typically contagious for only a single day at the very start of their illness. These biological restrictions cause the virus to burn out quickly. Without airborne transmission or a long contagious period, the disease cannot sustain the rapid, explosive growth seen in pandemics. While it lacks the reach of a pandemic, hantavirus remains a persistent danger in specific, dusty environments where rodents live and nest. In the absence of a vaccine, protection depends on structural hygiene. Sealing gaps and cracks in homes prevents rodents from nesting in living spaces, removing the primary source of the virus. When cleaning areas that may be infested, such as storage sheds or attics, health officials recommend wearing gloves and an N95 respirator. Wetting down the area with disinfectant before cleaning prevents contaminated dust from being inhaled. Highly publicized outbreaks can cause alarm, but the risk is manageable through awareness. Targeted hygiene practices can significantly mitigate the danger of contracting one of the world's most lethal pathogens.